We are not exaggerating. This is a diagnosis. We live in an era where the mind has been hijacked by addictions, distractions, and trash, digital trash, emotional trash, intellectual trash. This is the age where superficiality is rewarded and depth is ignored, where noise is valued more than reflection, where truth is no longer discovered through reason, but shaped by algorithms. People don't think, they react. They don't live, they consume. Constantly connected, yet entirely disconnected from themselves. The mind, what should be our greatest strength, is in ruins. And the worst part, many have accepted this state. They see decay and call it progress. They call decadence, freedom, dirt, expression, and ignorance, identity. This is the era of filth, and if you don't realize what's happening, you too may sink into it, without even noticing. We live in a sick age. It's not an economic crisis, not a visible war. It's an invisible epidemic that begins in the mind and infects everything around it. A generation that doesn't think, only reacts. Brains, accelerated but empty. People constantly scrolling, endlessly consuming garbage, idolizing clowns, applauding idiocy. Is this what progress looks like? What we're witnessing is a silent, deep, collective collapse. The mind, once humanity's most powerful weapon, is now dulled by meaningless stimulation. Distractions designed to keep the soul asleep. No one studies anymore. No one reflects. Thinking has become an offense. Silence feels uncomfortable. Reflection, that's for old people. Any thought that requires effort is instantly dismissed. Everything must be fast, easy, pre-chewed. What goes viral isn't what elevates, it's what degrades. And the most terrifying part, people love it. They embrace the filth. They consume their own decay with pleasure. This is the generation of the melted brain. The I don't care, the it's just a video, the it's just a trend, the it's just a joke. But these little things shape entire cultures, and a rotten culture creates rotten people. The worst part, many think this is normal, even funny. They call it freedom or authenticity, blind to the fact that they're being trained to think less and obey more. And yes, some still see, some still think, some resist, but they are few. Silent minorities in an ocean of celebrated ignorance. We are witnessing the death of intelligence, the bankruptcy of consciousness, the triumph of distraction and superficiality, decorated with flashy effects and empty dances. The masses are rotting from within. And not only do they not realize it, they mock those who dare to warn them. We are living in the era of the cult of filth. The mind has collapsed. The soul has been sold. And what remains? A pathetic spectacle of people screaming for attention while drowning in their own irrelevance. But if you still feel discomfort in all this, if there's something inside you that refuses to accept this rot, then maybe, just maybe, you're part of the few who can still be saved. And perhaps even rescue others. Because today to think is an act of rebellion. We have never had so much information and so little wisdom. We've never been so connected and so lost. We've never spoken so much and said so little. Nietzsche warned madness is rare in individuals, but in groups, parties, peoples, and eras, it is the rule, and that is where we are now. What was once absurd is now accepted. What was once the exception has become the norm. Today, stupidity is celebrated as authenticity. Vulgarity is cheered. Ignorance is mistaken for identity. The masses consume trash and call it culture. But it is not culture, it is conditioning. And while the masses cheer, intelligence withers. People who think deeply are dismissed as arrogant, complicated, or out of touch. Why? Because critical thinking demands effort, silence, reflection. And in this era of constant noise and endless scrolling, reflection is nearly extinct. South Korean philosopher Byung-Chul Han wrote, "We live in a time when excess positivity and stimulation destroy the soul. Burnout and anxiety are not personal failures. They are symptoms of a system that drains the human spirit to the point of collapse. The modern mind is exhausted, not from thinking but from running away from itself. And worst of all, most don't even notice. Too busy with notifications, 15-second videos, meaningless memes and TikTok trends. A generation with a melted brain and an inflated ego, capable of memorizing political slogans, but unable to sustain a thought for more than 5 minutes. Capable of talking about everything but understanding nothing. Arthur Schopenhauer once said the destiny of humanity depends on the degree of discernment it manages to cultivate. If that's true, we are dangerously close to collapse. This generation is being educated, not for freedom but for servitude. A sweet, smiling servitude filled with playlists, filters, likes, and dopamine hits. Trained to obey, not question. To hate those who think differently. To be offended by everything except their own mediocrity. They demand respect without being respectable. They want to be heard, while having nothing to say. They crave freedom without understanding what it means. Sociologist Zygmunt Bauman said, "We live in liquid times. Nothing is made to last, not relationships, not thoughts, not convictions. Everything is disposable, including consciousness. But yes, a few still see. A few still resist. They don't bow before the mental filth. They choose the solitude of thought over the company of noisy stupidity. They are mocked, ignored. But they are the last hope of lucidity, in a world proud of its chaos. If you feel awake in a sleeping world, you know exactly what this is. The mind has collapsed, the masses rot, and applaud their own fall. But if there's still a spark of unrest inside you, a flicker of rebellion against this culture of trash, resist. Think. If you found truth in these words, if you believe thinking is worth defending, then you're not alone. Subscribe to Philosphere for more honest, raw reflections that challenge the noise. Because in a world drowning in distraction, awareness is your superpower. Study. Be silent. Rebuild. Because in the middle of all this filth, thinking is the cleanest act you can commit. Honestly, sometimes I wonder, why do I even do this? I spend hours writing, researching, recording, trying to open the eyes of those who still have a flicker of lucidity left. But it feels like this generation is sunk in the mud and loves the smell. I'm tired. Tired of seeing this trash they call viral content. People dancing, shaking, doing dumb dubbing, pretending to live perfect lives while their brains melt, rotten and moldy from the inside. And when someone dares to bring something different, something deeper, more human, here come the dopamine-filled screen zombies in the comments saying, "But you're using technology too. You're on YouTube just like everyone else. You just want money. Really? You want to compare how I use this platform with how you use it? I use this because this is where the people are. Because maybe, just maybe, someone out there will hear this and say, you know what? It's true. I'm turning into a numb nobody. I need to change." Now you who come here just to criticize, what are you doing in this rotting society? What useful thing have you built? Are you helping anyone, waking anyone up? Or are you just another one laughing at stupid memes, consuming trash all day, and living in a bubble where thinking is a crime? Let's be real, this generation doesn't want truth. It wants dopamine, distraction, and easy applause. And when someone refuses to play along with this collective farce, when someone dares to think they're the ones who get criticized, this is a generation offended by everything, except their own mediocrity. But I'm not here to be nice. I'm here because I refuse to become just another empty shell. Because I still believe there's salvation for those brave enough to face the mirror. So, if you're just here to throw sarcasm and judgment, stop for a second. Look at your life. What have you done? What impact have you made? Are you awake, or just another one, laughing while the ship sinks? If it's the latter, do us all a favor, disappear. Because while you get lost in your screen arrogance, there are people here trying, with effort, to awaken those who can still be saved. But hey, if you're still here listening, then you're not part of this collective filth. And now I want to talk to you, without irony, without anger, just respect. Because I know how much it hurts to see. In a world that prefers to walk with eyes closed, you feel the weight, you see the mediocrity spreading, you watch as thought dies, depth becomes a joke, and truth is drowned out by noise. And something deep inside you refuses to accept this. You don't want to just exist, you want to live. Live with consciousness, understand more, become more. You want to break free from this cycle of alienation that dominates everything today. And that alone already makes you rare. You might not see yourself that way. You might think you're far from ideal. But just the fact that you're seeking, listening, reflecting, it puts you in a different place. You're not part of the mass that wakes, consumes, complains, and sleeps again. You want more, and not just more things, but more truth, more clarity, more direction. While most people live through the eyes of others, you're trying to find your way back to yourself. While the majority chase likes and validation, you're trying to wake up. And I know, it's not easy. It's lonely. It's exhausting to be the one who thinks, who feels too much, who tries to stay sane in a world that celebrates insanity. It's hard to stay lucid when everything around you is excess, distraction, pressure, and noise. So ask yourself, will you surrender to the noise or resist it? Will you scroll endlessly or seek deeply? The fact that you're still here means there's hope. And if you want more of this raw, real, unfiltered thought, then follow this space. This is Philosphere, a refuge for minds that refuse to rot. A home for those who still believe that thinking is sacred. You look around and it feels like everyone's anesthetized. Everyone laughing, dancing, posting, pretending. And you're quiet, watching, trying to understand where everything went wrong. But let me tell you something. Even if it feels like you're alone, you're not. Even if the world tells you otherwise, even if the algorithms shove trash in your face all day, even if it seems no one cares about anything deep, there are people like you out there. Few, scattered, but they exist, and they are precious. People who still believe life isn't just dopamine, who still value silence, character, study, who don't sell themselves for attention, who don't bow to ridiculousness just to fit in. And it's with these people that change begins, not with crowds, but with a conscious minority. It's always been this way. The greatest movements, the most powerful ideas, the revolutions that shape the world, they never started with the masses. They started with the few, with those who refused to obey blindly, with those who dared to think. So if you're here now, listening to this, if you feel that discomfort, that restlessness, that desire to be more, understand something. It's not weakness, it's strength. In a world where everyone distracts themselves, you think. Where everyone runs, you stop. Where everyone wants to show off, you want to understand. That already puts you on a different level. But it also comes with responsibility. Because knowing is the first step. Now it's time to act. Now it's time to choose. Every single day. Don't let yourself get swept away by the avalanche of idiocy. It will surround you. It will try to distract you, numb you, drown you. But you are not the masses. You are conscious, and consciousness cannot be outsourced. You know, I could make shallow videos. I could sell empty motivation, catchy slogans, dumb entertainment. It'd be easier. I'd get more views. But it wouldn't be true. And I refuse to lie just to please. I refuse to pretend everything is okay, when it clearly isn't. That's why I make these videos. That's why I write, edit, speak, and hammer this message, day after day. Because I still believe there is hope. That there are people like you who haven't surrendered. And even if it's a small group, that group can light torches in the darkness. They can rescue others, be an example, be an anchor in a sea of confusion. You don't need to change the whole world. Start with yourself, and you'll already be doing more than 99% of people out there. Keep reading, keep observing yourself, keep searching for what is true, even if it hurts. Keep distrusting what's too easy, too fast, too popular. Keep thinking, because thinking today is revolutionary. And if they call you different, too intense, too philosophical, too cold, too boring, too strange, take it as a compliment. Because in a world this insane, being normal means being deeply lost. Thank you for being here. Thank you for thinking. Thank you for not being just another one. You are the reason this channel exists, not the numbers, not the algorithm. You who still value consciousness. This is